This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Haldeman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What's up, everybody? We're back. We should have just stayed on the air, Papa Dude.
We should have just stayed. That's right.
We are back. Everybody, cancel your staff meetings because we're back to talk NFL and college football. Just cancel those meetings. Don't go in and hang out here with us. Well, we got a big show here. Opening day of NFL is tonight. Opening weekend, of course, Sunday, and then on to Monday for the Monday night game. We got week 2 of college football. Obviously, a lot to talk about there as well. So we got a lot to get through. And we got blinkers off at 2:00 coming up in less than 2 hours. So we gotta get going, Mappadoo. Let's do it.
Well, when we were on a while ago, it was either 1 or 2. So that's some pressure off of us if it's 2.
It is, right? Yeah, it is a little bit of less pressure that now it's 2:00 instead of 1. So, all right. Well, we if you watch that daily show, we don't have to cover this game much. Tonight is the Lions and the Chiefs. Chiefs 4.5-point favorites here. You're going Chiefs. It's your best bet of the day. Once again, Papa Dude, for the third time, tell us why you like the Chiefs.
I feel like I'm on one of those like I'm a commentator for the Chiefs, and people in Detroit are calling me all around the country. I'm just repeating myself.
It's Groundhog's Day.
So I'm going to Chiefs because I'm not high on the Lions, and I just feel like this is a nationally televised game. It's the only game in town. The Chiefs are going to be ready. I just don't see Mahomes. I'm not playing well in this one. I think the line's reasonable, so I'm going to go Chiefs to cover the 4.5.
Yeah, and usually Kevin B commenting about some college stuff. Usually we start college, but we're doing pro because it is opening weekend, so we're doing it first. But we got thoughts on that for sure, Kevin. Just stay tuned there. So, Chiefs for both of us. Like I said, we've talked about this a lot. I'm with you. I'm a little more reluctant because I have been burned by the Chiefs and the point spreads.
I have too.
I'm with you. But you know what? A lot of times we go, well, I just feel like they'll do it this week, and they haven't. So
I know. But usually when I've got burned, it's like 9 points or 8 points.
True.
4.5's my comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Panthers and the Falcons to open up the Sunday slate. Yay! The game is in Atlanta. Atlanta 3.5-point favorite. What do you think about this one?
First thing I did was look at the over/under. It's 39.5. I'm inclined to take the under on that. These two teams are offensively challenged. That's for sure. I don't know. I think it will be close. I don't analyze either one of them enough. I think Atlanta's going to win simply because it's at home. I don't know. 3.5 may be too many, though. I can see 21-20 on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Atlanta. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, this game.
No.
It's a pass for me.
You got to be a fan of one of these teams to be interested.
Yep. All right, this will be a little more entertaining, I think. The Browns and the Bengals is always a really good game. The Browns are at home week 1 hosting the Bengals. 2-point favorites for Cincinnati. Over under 48. What do you think of this one?
That seems extremely low to me. I'm all over the Bengals. But again, Vegas knows what they're doing. So what's going on this?
This is fishy line number 1 of the NFL season.
Yeah, I just don't know why that's 2. The Bengals are much better than Cleveland. I will say this, opening week in the NFL, opening 2 or 3 weeks, it's tough betting because things aren't quite in line with the way they're going to be yet. It takes 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
I don't like Cleveland that well. So I'm going the Bengals. I just think they'll win. And if you think they're going to win, I think they'll win by more than 2. So I'm going to go the Bengals -2.
I'm going the Browns.
You are. Oh my God! I cannot believe you said that.
I've seen these lines. I'm just
Why
anytime I
is
see
it?
a line where I
Why
go, well,
is that
that
the
is,
line though? What's the deal?
I don't know, but anytime I see a line and I go, well, that's ridiculous, I go with the ridiculous one because it pays out. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
people
it
are going to
does.
pound Cincinnati. I'm going to go the Browns. Give me Cleveland plus the 2.
All right.
All right, here's one that makes more sense, and I think a lot of these do make sense. So we're going to go through.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a few that don't, but Jacksonville on the road opening up against the Colts. Jacksonville 5-point favorites here against Indianapolis. What do you think about this one?
Again, it's how much do you value the Jags? Do you think they're going to be as good as they finished the season last year? Now, keep in mind, they're going to have a tougher schedule this year. Now, this isn't one of them, but it's a conference game, so it's a rivalry. Indy could jump up and bite them week one. You just don't know. So they go in there and turn it over a couple times and get behind. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Jaguars because I think they're better than I'm not high on Indianapolis at all. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars to cover. Colts
plus 5 for me. I want the points. I think Jacksonville wins. I'm not a total believer in them though. Give me the Colts plus the 5. I'm going to go with the underdog here as well. I don't know. We'll see. Kevin says he thinks the Jags are going to be a top 3 AFC team. I'm just not a believer yet. We'll see.
Not yet.
Give me the Colts plus the 5. Buccaneers and the Vikings. The Vikings minus 5.5 here at home. A lot of points for the Vikings, but this is a pretty bad Tampa team. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, and I'm a Baker guy all the way. But if he's your starting quarterback,
you're in trouble.
That's not good. So I think Minnesota covers. I'm looking for a disaster out of Tampa Bay this year. I hope I'm really wrong, but I'm going the Vikings minus 5.5.
Yep, give me the Vikings minus the 5.5 there as
well. By the way, I got a Baker story for you.
Okay,
real quick. It's not about Baker, but we had a yard sale last Saturday, and my grandson had a Baker Mayfield Cleveland Browns jersey.
Okay.
And anyway, this little boy came up and he came out of the car, and I'm just kind of standing there, and he sprinted to that jersey. I mean, he went to that jersey just as fast as he could go. And he turned to his mom and he said, "Mom, I got to have this. I've got to have this." Of course, I'm listening to the whole thing, not saying anything to him.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, how much is it?" And he goes, "It's $10. And she goes, No, $10. He goes, "Mom, I have $6.75 of my own money." So she goes, "Well, if you want to spend your money, I do." So he goes running up to Sandy and he pays her the $6 because I told Sandy, I said, let him have it for $6.75. So anyway, he walks by me and he goes, I said, "So, you fan? Love them. I love the Sooners." He said he wasn't old enough to really remember Baker very well, but he started going on Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, all the guys. It was really cool to see him get that Mayfield jersey. He thought he was really he even put it on that day. It was really cool.
That's one of the few people that want a Cleveland Browns Baker Mayfield jersey right now.
And he ran right to it. I mean, it was amazing. It was funny.
Pedlo says, "Good kid." I know, that's cool. Very cool. Very cool story. Well, hopefully he's happy, but I don't think he will be.
I don't either.
On Sunday. So,
nope.
All right, let's move on. Titans and the Saints here. New Orleans, 3-point favorites here against the Titans. What do you think of this one? I don't know. This is a weird one.
I think I was 0-16 with New Orleans last year. It's a team I can't figure out ever. They should win, but I'm going to take the Titans in an upset over the Saints.
Yeah, I kind of lean that way too. I'll take Titans plus the 3 here and see what happens. I'm not a believer in the Saints just yet either. 49ers going on the road, 2.5-point favorites going all the way to Pittsburgh. Take on a Steelers team. They look good in the preseason. I don't normally care about preseason though. Mm-hmm. It's real-time football now. I mean, the roster says take the 49ers, but this point spread is interesting.
It's very interesting. I've got 3 possible upsets that I like. This is one of them.
Me too.
I've got to see more of Brock Purdy. I like him a heck of a lot more than you do.
Yep.
But I do think he's fine. And the 49ers roster is really good. This could be ambush city, though, going in. I'd hate to have to go into Pittsburgh in the opening game. I just would. So I am going Pittsburgh in an upset.
To me, this line is just like the Cincinnati and Cleveland line. It feels like San Francisco should be more. Mm-hmm. San Francisco is going to get, like Kevin said, all the public money's on them. Then that's not going to change. Mm-hmm. Give me the Steelers. I like the Steelers plus the 2.5 here. Give me Pittsburgh.
I agree with you totally. The only difference is Cincinnati's got Joe Burrow and the Niners have Brock Purdy.
Well, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers and not the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I
don't know. That could be argued.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great argument, honestly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, look, it's these games. When you see lines, and it's like, that's a weird line. It's a weird line for a reason. So just be careful on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Cardinals going on the road to take on the Commanders. Commanders is a 7-point favorite. I bet they're not favored by more than 7 again. The Cardinals are just, it's going to be a disaster. What do you think about this one?
They're a train wreck for sure.
Yeah.
7 points. Over under 38. I don't know if the Cardinals will score more than 10. What do you think? Their offense is not very good.
Yeah. I think the Commanders, they should cover this, but it's just a horrible game. I mean, there's just no reason to really take much of an interest in it.
I agree.
But they should cover the spread.
Yeah, I think they should.
I think Arizona might be all-time bad. Seriously. I think this could be one of the worst teams ever. So we'll see, though. Maybe not. Maybe they'll surprise me. All right. Speaking of really bad teams, the Texans have been bad for a while. Can they dig out of the hole? Well, they're bad game to start with. They go to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Revamped offense in Baltimore. Will it work? Will it won't? Or will it not? Who knows? 10 points is a lot in the NFL. What do you think about this one? Ravens favored by 10.
It is a lot. I believe that's the widest point spread on the docket for this week. And I think it should probably be there because the Texans aren't very good. I think the Ravens should cover. But again, you got to watch those double-digit point spreads in the NFL. I'm going to stay away from it, but I do think Baltimore should cover it.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm not going to bet that game, but it does feel like they probably should. You just never know. 10 points is a lot. I think the Texans are mildly better. I don't think they're good by any means, but I don't think they're going to be quite as bad. I think they'll fight it a little bit. I would be shocked if this is just from the opening kick to the end, just a blowout. But like I said, Baltimore probably should cover it. There's better games to play than this one, though, for sure. All right, let's keep going. Packers-Bears. The Bears are a 1-point favorite here at home against the Packers. You don't see that very often for the Bears here lately. What do you think? Are you a believer that the Packers are kind of done and the Bears are up and comer? What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing you said there. I wonder when the last time the Bears have been favored over the Packers. It's been a long, long time probably. No, I don't believe in either one of them. I do think Green Bay is going to go down. I mean, they only won like 8 last year, and they can't possibly be as good, I don't think, unless Rodgers was a total distraction. But I don't think that was the case either. But the Bears, would they win 3 last year or 4?
Yeah, they were not
very many.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how you feel about Justin Fields. You know, is he going to finally break out and do what he's capable of? I'm going to go with the Bears because I think they're going to win, and it's only 1 point. So go Bears.
I don't know what to do on this one. This is kind of a stay-away game for me. I don't really believe in Jordan Love for the Packers, but it's also hard to bet the Bears against the Packers anytime. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this one. If you force me, I'd pick the Bears, but I just can't hit that sin button on that bet, right? To bet the Bears against the Packers. We'll see. I like Justin Fields. I don't know if he's great, but I think he's a competitor at least. So I don't know. Maybe the Bears have a little bit better of a season, but I don't know. We'll see. This game's a real toss-up for me. I don't have a good read on it. Let's go to another one. I think this is really interesting this year in Denver. Denver opens up at home against the Raiders. Raiders don't look to be too good this year. Denver's minus 3.5, so 3.5-point favorite for the Broncos. All right, Sean Payton era starts on Saturday or Sunday, Papa Dude. What do you think about this one?
Well, I guess suddenly the Broncos are really good because of Sean Payton, because they haven't really done anything else, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of look at this line and you go, boy, I'm not sure they should be 3.5-point favorites against anybody just yet.
Yeah, they got to prove it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be better. I do think in the NFL, a proven head coach makes a huge difference in the locker room. I think he commands instant respect, and that's the key to coaching in the pros. They should beat the Raiders by 3.5. They should. So I'm going to go ahead and take them. They should win this game by 3.5.
The hook scares me. The 3.5 scares me. If it's 3, I think you're safe. I could see a 24-21 type of game here, though. I took Denver as well, reluctantly. I took Denver. I think the biggest thing is I am not a fan of this Raiders team at all.
Right.
So I think because of that, I think you can feel a little better about taking them. So
well, I'll say this too. If they are better, like people think they're going to be, they should cover this pretty easy.
If they lose this game, it's the NFL, so any win is a good win. So I won't be coming on here saying, oh, they're not.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
If they lose, that's not a great sign for sure.
It's not.
This is not a game they should be losing. All right, let's move on. Last year's darlings, the Philadelphia Eagles, burst onto the scene. They've got another great team on paper coming into this season. They're going to go on the road to take on a Patriots team who doesn't look that great to me on paper, but they usually overachieve a bit. 4-point favorites on the road here are Philadelphia. What do you think about this game? This is an interesting one to me.
It's really interesting. A Super Bowl runner-up. It's to go to New England to start the season. It's kind of a tough test. I think the Eagles are going to win it. I'm going to take New England, though, +4.
I'm taking Philadelphia. I just, when you look at the rosters on both teams, it's just hard for me to support New England against a team like Philadelphia. I wouldn't be shocked if you're right. I wouldn't be shocked if New England won, but I just think Philadelphia, they're a better team. They've got a little bit more explosive offense, obviously. I think they're going to be able to get the job done. So give me the Eagles in this one. All right, here's our favorite team that we talk about, the Chargers. Yes, all right, the Chargers are back on the show. 3-point favorites at home against the Dolphins. Interesting team, this Dolphins bunch. Can Tua stay healthy? Will Tua progress second year under the new coach? A lot of question marks. This seems like a real toss-up game to me. What about you?
Yes, definitely. Sneaky good game,
Yeah.
Two pretty good teams that just can't seem to get over the hump and be really good. The roster for the Chargers, there's no excuse for them to be what they are year in and year out. And the Dolphins have gotten so much better in the last couple of years. The key with the Dolphins is Tua. Can he stay healthy? I'm going to go with the Chargers at home, but I would be very hesitant to bet any money on them. I think they're better than Miami. I think the Chargers are really good. I just don't know if they can put it all together.
Dolphins +3 for me. Give me Miami. Give me the +3 for Miami. I think they get it done. I gotta go Dolphins. All right, let's keep it going here. Rams in Seattle. Seattle 5.5-point favorite here. Well, the Rams kind of bounce back. That's the big question here. Seattle being a 5.5-point favorite. That's a lot of points for Seattle. They are at home. What do you think?
I got the Rams +5.5.
I
think the Rams will play well. And will Geno Smith play as well as he did last year? That's a big key. So I'm going to go the Rams +5.5. Seattle may win, but I think the Rams play this one a lot. 5.5 is quite a few points.
It's too many points for me as well. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle covers it, but I think the Rams are the play here. I like them at +5.5. I think it's a divisional game. I think they'll go up there and play them close, if not win. So I like the Rams here with this +5.5. And again, Seahawks may win, but that's a lot of points in a divisional game. And you hit it on the head. I mean, with Geno Smith, a magical year is how I would describe it last year. He was fantastic. Was it a one-hit wonder? Can he do it again? This will be the first kind of step towards finding out. I just think 5.5 is a little too much. All right. Cowboys and the Giants. That's going to be our Sunday night game in New York. Dallas is a 3.5-point favorite here in New York. All right. I know where I'm going. Where are you going?
Upset special. Give me the
I
Giants.
agree, and I hate the Giants, but I agree. Let me back up. I don't hate the Giants. I don't love the Giants roster. I should say.
Yeah.
Plus, I like them plus 3.5. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's an upset special. I Sunday night in New York.
Yep.
Dallas, I don't think's as good as they were last year. I just don't. I don't know about Prescott. I don't know. I just don't know. I just like the Giants to pull off a surprise in this one. I think the Giants are a little better than people think. I don't think they're great, but I think they're going to be ready. I don't think Cowboys play very well. Give me the Giants.
Yeah, and let me clarify once again. I don't hate the Giants. I hate the roster.
You don't like the roster.
I do not. I don't think the Giants are very good. I thought the coaching job in New York was incredible last year. I just don't know how long you can survive on just that. I still don't like this roster. I know they are better, but I don't like Dallas's roster either. So I think the Giants plus 3.5 is the play here. If they get beat, I think it'll still be close. So I do like the Giants plus 3.5 in this game. All right, final one. The Bills on the road, 2.5-point favorites at the Jets. Big first game for the Jets, Monday Night Football. How competitive are they going to be? Papa Dude, what do you think about this one?
Well, you know what I think about this one.
Yeah.
The Jets get a 40-year-old quarterback, and suddenly they're the bomb, man. They're just going to be great, And this guy won 8 games last year in Green Bay, and that division is not quite as tough as the one he's in now with Miami, New England, and Buffalo. They might ride the wave a little bit Monday night for a while. Buffalo's too good. I got Buffalo to cover.
I like Buffalo to cover as well. Kevin says Buffalo money line heavy, too much Jets talk. Dennis says Jets have to win this game. Bills are going to win this game. I'm not really sure that the Jets have to win it, but I think the Bills are going to win it. So I agree with half of what you said there, buddy. I agree. I just think a lot of hype. We'll see what happens. I'm not a huge Bills fan.
No, you're not.
But they had some injuries last year on defense that really hurt them late, and people didn't adjust, and the lines didn't adjust. They got them back. They're going to be better, I think. And if you look at the Bills from the first 8 games of the season, they were pretty damn good last year. Good enough to go to New York and beat the Jets. So,
Go ahead.
I say, give me the Bills.
Okay. I think what Dennis meant by that is if the Jets are what they claim to be, they need to win this game.
Fair. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a Super Bowl contender, you got to win your home games.
You have to beat the good teams at home. Absolutely.
Yep. All right, let's move on and let's go to college. If I can get that off there. All right, it's now college football time. We'll go through the top 25 here. Dennis clarifies that is what he meant. Okay, let's go to the top 25 here. SMU, Oklahoma's where we'll start. Oklahoma coming off a big win, 73-0 over Arkansas State. They looked good. And then SMU coming off a nice win as well. They looked good in their opener. Much better team coming into Norman. Oklahoma 15.5-point favorites. What do you think?
Well, I just saw the temperature up there in the corner, 98 degrees. Wow, that really sounds great, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. We've been to those 5 o'clock games when it's 98 degrees. Feels like it's 150. I think the point spread is – okay, let me back up. If OU is as good as they looked last week, but you can't really tell because Arkansas State is down. And OU played really, really well. If they're as good, though, as they looked, I think the point spread's about right. I think they cover that fairly easy. But we don't know yet. So many things looked good for them last week offensively. They were just crisp as they could. It was like they were in midseason form.
Mm-hmm.
As you pointed out, we were texting back and forth. They were just so crisp. They were just – everything was perfect. The throws were perfect. The timing was perfect. Everything was. It could be the opponent also that they're playing against, but they just look so much better. Everything last year on offense was shaky.
Well, to jump in, if you go back and look at the stats or even watch the games from their weaker opponents to start last year, They weren't good even
No.
on offense. They weren't, and this was a normal OU offense.
Yeah,
So anyway,
it
go ahead.
was. They scored on their first 11 possessions. I don't care who you're playing. That's pretty impressive. So offensively, they looked very good. We don't know about their defense yet because Arkansas State didn't present much opposition on offense. So we don't know. We know SMU will be pretty good offensively. They have some players. I've heard them talking this week on OU radio where they're experienced. They have a lot of seniors. So they're going to come up and play well. But I think OU covers this, and this will be a major step. We'll see. Just so we'll learn a little bit more about them this week, even though SMU is not going to win any national titles.
SMU is a team that can beat you if you play bad.
If you play bad.
Yeah.
And you're not very good.
If you look at the Oklahoma team from last year, they could lose to SMU.
Yes.
This is a huge game for the defense, in my opinion.
Yep.
What SMU will do is give the defense its first test, and certainly not its biggest test, but it will be. They're tough. They've got a good quarterback. They've got a very good offensive skill set players. They're tough on offense, and I think OU, their defense will get tested in this game a bit. So they're a good team on offense. Defensively, defensively SMU not good. Oklahoma should be able to put up the points. The thing I really loved about OU last week is I don't care about the score. I don't care about the opponent. I watched enough of Oklahoma to look at them and know if they've got the athletes that it's going to take when they get into the bigger games. Last year, I knew after 2 games they didn't have it. This year, when I looked at their offense, I looked at how athletic they were. And I'm not talking about even speed so much because they should be running away from those guys, but just you look at those guys in uniform and you're like, yeah, they've got players again offensively. And they've got multiple players. It's not just one guy, right? I mean, they looked good on offense. Defensively, I ain't buying it. They look like the same to me. So I'm not buying it defensively yet. I think this will be a game that knocks people like Pedlo, who looks like he thinks we're going to win the national championship based on comments. It'll knock you down a pedestal because I think you're looking at like a 48-31 type of game, honestly.
Yeah, and if it's that, we ain't good enough.
I'm going to tell you right now what this is going to be about this year. It's going to be about the offense. This is good. This is a Lincoln Riley type team.
Yeah, well, it looks like it so far.
And if it's not, and this defense is good, I think we will win the Big 12.
Well, yeah.
But if the defense is what I think it is, which is better than last year, but still not good, I think this is going to end up being a team that can go 9-3 or 10-2 if it breaks right for them.
Yeah. We're not going to know anything about the defense till we come up against a quarterback that can throw the ball.
And this kid can throw it.
He can throw it.
And he has weapons.
And he does. And so this is a test, and this is what we're going to see.
If they beat SMU 48-10 this weekend, and it's not because SMU turns it over 4 times, it's because OU held them to like 250 yards, I think Oklahoma is serious, but I don't think it's going to happen.
If they can get some pressure on the quarterback, they got receivers covered, that kind of stuff. They don't bust plays, which we saw all the time last year. So we'll see, and that's why this game is interesting for us. It is a game we can lose, but I'm going to tell you, if it's close, we're not very good, or we're not there yet. Let me just say that.
I just watched that last week and felt so much better about the remaining games of the season, knowing we can go in and score points on people, and we're not going to get embarrassed, and we're going to be able to beat the bad teams because we can score this year. But again, defensively, I ain't buying it. No.
Well, and I'm going to say this too. SMU's top 50 team, I think you're stretching if you say top 40.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're better than Arkansas State.
Well, yeah.
They're probably better than like an Iowa State, a West Virginia.
Yeah.
But those were teams OU lost to last year.
That's true.
Texas Tech. I mean,
they
lost to those type of teams. So That's why I say this is SMU is they're solid. Like they're probably like an 8-4 team in their conference.
Absolutely.
7-5. That's a team OU could have lost to last year. So, I mean, to me, it's not just hey, we're going to roll the ball out and kill them. Let's go prove that we can do it.
There's no doubt.
So and hopefully they do. And listen, I hope we shut them down. I don't see it, but
we're going to find out.
The good news was I was 1,000% more encouraged this year watching that team than last year early in the season. So we'll see what happens. All right. Georgia and Ball State. What do you think? Are you excited about this one? 42-point favorite for Georgia. Is this just go ahead?
No, let's go to the next one.
Okay. Well, Ohio State and Youngstown, there's no line. Let's talk about Ohio State. They did not look very good. The quarterbacks struggled like we speculated they might. Any thought on Ohio State?
They got a long way to go. They weren't very good at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And listen, Indiana was inept on offense. They couldn't do anything. If they could have moved the ball any at all, they could have won that game.
Yeah.
But they were so bad they couldn't do anything. I don't know. Maybe Ohio State's defense is better. I don't think so, though. So they got this game to kind of straighten themselves out a little bit. They got Notre Dame coming up pretty quick. So they got to get better in a hurry.
They better get better in a hurry, like you just said. And I don't think quarterback issues get straightened out. That's the worry. They got to find one. They did not have one in the first game. No. It was the first game, though, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's true.
Penn State, Delaware, not a lot to talk about here. Penn State took care of business. I thought they looked pretty solid. What were your thoughts on the Nittany Lions week 1?
Yeah, I thought they did too. Did what they had to do, beat West Virginia pretty convincingly. And then they get an exhibition game type this week. Yep. And then they'll head into the tougher schedule coming up.
Yep. I thought it was a good start for Penn State for sure. Notre Dame, they get, I would say it's their first test-ish. They're going to play North Carolina State on the road here. North Carolina State, not quite as good, I don't think, at least, that they've been. 7.5-point favorite for the Fighting Irish. This is one we could talk about here.
Sure.
What do you think of this one?
Sneaky, tough game here. You know, it's a sneaky game. North Carolina State can play with you. Struggled a little bit last week, so you're right. They're probably down some. They also lost a quarterback that had been there a long time.
Yep.
So it takes them a while to kind of find another one. So I think for that reason, the line is pretty good for Notre Dame because they've got a quarterback that's played in Raleigh before because he was at Wake Forest all those years, so he's familiar with NC State and everything they do. I like the Fighting Irish a lot, so I think they're going to cover the 7.5.
Yeah, Kevin B pointing out that North Carolina State did struggle with UConn. I actually tuned into a bit of that game late, just because I think it was right around the point spread, just seeing who covered, who didn't, and they didn't look good. I don't want to get too high on Notre Dame. I'm trying to pause, for lack of a better word, because I just feel like with Sam Hartman, this should be a top 5 team. And
I do too.
And I just am so scared to say that, and then they let us down.
Yeah. When's the last time they had a quarterback like this guy?
They haven't.
Yeah.
So I just think, I don't know. Notre Dame minus 7.5 for me as well. I'll take them here.
I think they cover.
Yeah, they look pretty darn good. A team that I didn't think looked that good, but still won easily was Utah. They beat up on Florida. By the way, Florida looked bad.
Mm-hmm.
But Utah won game 1. Now they go on the road to take on Baylor. By the way, Baylor lost to Texas State. That's right. They lost to Texas State last week, 42-31. Utah minus 8. This is a weird line. You'd think it'd be a little more. What do you think about this?
Is Rising going to play?
I don't think you could count on seeing him.
Okay,
week.
So I think that's why that line's where it's at.
Yeah.
Remember, he didn't play last week, and defensively, Florida wasn't awful, but he did not play last week. Offensively, Florida was awful.
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference when you lose a guy like that. Before the season started, I thought this was a game Utah could lose because Baylor's tough to beat in Waco, but to give up 42 points to Texas State, which is what Baylor did, there's some glaring problems there. I think the Bears will come out and play much, much better in this game, but I don't know if it makes any difference. I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to stay away from it because of the quarterback probably not going to play for Utah.
Yeah.
But if they're number 12 in the country, they should cover the 8 points.
I think they'll cover it. I do. Baylor has to be worse than Florida, right? I mean,
well, they have to be, yeah.
I think Utah will play sluggish and win late. I think they're going to win by like 14. Give me Utah in that one. All right, K-State, a team that admittedly I did not watch a second of Kansas State. I don't think you could find that anywhere that you can watch it, but they do win their opening game. They're kind of like OU. They got a better team coming here now. They got Troy. KSU 16.5-point favorite here. This is maybe a little tricky. The line, I'm saying. What do you think about this game?
Absolutely. Troy is pretty good.
I kind of lean Troy plus the points.
I do too. This is kind of a game sometimes the Wildcats aren't quite ready for.
Yeah.
You know, opponent kind of slips up on them a little bit. We've seen this over the years in Manhattan. They've won, but it's close. You know, Troy is traditionally pretty good, but they don't command your attention too much, especially when you're highly ranked. So I'm with you. I'm going to go Troy plus 16.5, but I don't think they're going to win.
Yeah, I think Troy plus 16.5 as well. I mean, you kind of look at the history of K-State. Like you said, these games sometimes can get close there in Manhattan. And I think my theory on that, they are Kansas State, even when Kansas State, like in the 90s when they were really good, they never were just like overwhelming from a talent perspective.
Right.
Really well coached, played really solid football. But sometimes, you know, if you're not overly talented and you kind of show up and you sleepwalk a little bit, that's where you get yourself in some trouble. And I think Troy could give them a little bit of a problem. So, yeah, I'm going to take Troy plus 16.5. All right, everybody's darlings. Here we go. Colorado, they go to TCU and they win 45-42. All of a sudden, Colorado's ranked. I mean, that's incredible. They're 3-point favorites at home against Nebraska, who lost 13-10 to Minnesota in a typical Nebraska game where they looked like they were going to win the whole game and they lost. What do you think about this? This is a weird one. What do you think about this one?
Shouldn't they be favored by more than that?
You would think this is a fishy line, in my opinion. By the way, look at the ticket price. $269, the cheapest ticket price to get in to watch this game.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well,
I really don't. I don't. Anyway,
I've got friends in Colorado. They said it's a really, really tough ticket.
Is it really? Okay. Yeah. Well, of course, Nebraska travels too, and they bought a bunch of tickets, I imagine.
Yeah.
When these two teams were in the Big 12, this was a huge rivalry.
Yep.
And okay. The voters obviously love Colorado. Mm-hmm. They moved them from number 112 to 22. How about that? You jump up. I don't know if they're 112.
Well, they were. If you ranked 100 schools, they would have been in the bottom half of that for sure.
Well, they would have been 80 or even 90 probably.
Yes. Yeah.
So we win a game and we jump all the way to the top 25. How many teams do that? Not very many.
Hardly any, no.
So obviously, you know, it's Neon Deion is doing exactly what Colorado hoped he would do. Create interest.
Yep.
Now, the Nebraska team I saw the other, and I watched quite a bit of that, their offense is absolutely pathetic.
And how good is their defense?
Well, I don't know, because Minnesota was awful.
Sure, they held them, but my God, Minnesota looked awful.
Minnesota couldn't throw the ball to save anything.
No.
You would think this Colorado quarterback, Deion's son, is going to be able to go up and down the field on him, you would think, or he's going to have success against Nebraska.
Yeah.
Which Colorado's defense wasn't very good last week either. I'm looking at that over-under. What do you think? 59.5?
It's a lot.
I would go under on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just put it out here right now. It would not surprise me if Nebraska beats them. It would not surprise me. It wouldn't.
It's the biggest, like this is the smelliest line in the history of sports.
It is, because you got to ask yourself, what would the line have been if Colorado had played fairly well and say they lost 27-17, would they have been favored then by 3 over Nebraska?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think Nebraska's name still carries a little bit of weight. I don't know where to go with it, except I'm going to go the under 59.5.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to play. Play the under. It's just hard to believe that they're going to get over that total. I had a friend. He texted me. He said that one of the biggest bets of my life is going to be Nebraska, and I was like, "What? Why?" And he's like, "Oh, they'll be probably 7-point underdogs, and they shouldn't be." And then the line came out, and they were 3.5. And he's like, "What the hell?" So everybody's really confused by the line.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas is telling you they don't believe in Colorado.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it. I lean Colorado minus the 3 because here's the deal. I do think Colorado vastly overrated. They're getting a Nebraska team they're a disaster. They are. I mean, they're not any better. They might be worse than what we saw last year.
They have no quarterback. Nebraska doesn't.
No.
And so they had somewhat semblance of an offense last year. They could score a little bit.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, let's put it this way. Don't you think the offense of Nebraska last year could have beat Minnesota?
Yes.
Yeah. So they don't have that going for them. I don't know if Colorado's as good as they played last week. I don't know. I think Vegas knows more than the voters who vote for these top 25s. I'll say that.
Well, that's what concerns me a bit, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, God, shouldn't they be like 7-point favorites in this game after that? I mean,
I would think, yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would not be surprised if Nebraska wins. I wouldn't. Now, I'll tell you what, though. If Colorado comes out and pastes them, beats them like 42-14, then we're going to have to start looking at them a little bit, I think. Even though it's Nebraska, but still, you would not have said that before the season that Colorado would beat Nebraska 42-14. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe I would have. I mean,
no, you wouldn't have. No way.
I just can't get over what I saw.
If Colorado had went down and lost,
well, yeah,
we thought they were going to, 45-20, you might be picking Nebraska to win this game.
I wouldn't be picking them, but you're right. I would say it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a weird one.
It's an interesting game. That's for sure.
It is a very interesting game that I didn't think would be. So much. All right, let's move on. We're both taking Colorado, I guess, right?
Shaking. I'm shakily taking them. Yes.
All right. Speaking of top 25 and craziness and proof that all that matters in college football is your name, Clemson, after getting beat 28-7 to Duke and looking, just horrible. They're still ranked somehow. They're number 25. They play Charleston Southern. Is this a thing? Like, was it all the assistants, and now that they're gone, is this falling apart at Clemson? That was awful, this first game.
Well, don't forget, they fumbled on the 1-yard line twice.
Right. So
you score there, and things are different. Duke's better than people say. I was impressed with Duke's speed. They're on offense. They're fast.
Well,
either that or Clemson's slow.
We talked about the line, if you remember on the last show, and we're both like, ooh, that's a fishy line. I'm not touching this game because the spread wasn't what you thought it would be. But and I think that is because Duke is not bad. Okay, go ahead.
I think Duke's quarterback is good. And people don't realize they won 9 games last year, and they've got everybody back. And it's just hard for us to stomach that Duke has the athletes Clemson should have. And even though they should have scored a couple more times, Clemson, they never did look like they were better than Duke. They never looked like that, ever. So is Dabo done? I don't know. I don't. When he first got the job, I thought he was kind of a clown.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years he had him in the national title game.
Yeah.
He's beat Saban a couple times. I find it hard to believe he doesn't know what he's doing. if he's won a couple national championships. I'm not ready to say it's just because of his assistants.
Okay, go ahead. No, keep going. Keep going.
They don't have a quarterback. Now, I know what the next thing's going to be. Well, yeah, but look how good the other kid played the other night. Well, he looked pretty good, but it was San Jose State. Come on, let's wait a little while. Let's wait and see how he plays against Washington.
I'll jump in on that for a second. He did look better than he ever looked at any point. But go ahead. Keep going.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, how much – I mean, I'm not going to sit here and blame Dabo for him because you got to blame the offensive coordinator, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he the one supposed to develop quarterbacks?
Yep.
So – and by the way, the guy that was the offensive coordinator for Trevor Lawrence and is Tony Elliott, who's now the coach at Virginia, and they are awful.
Right. So
I don't know where to go with this.
And the old defensive coordinator is 7-7 as a head coach.
That's right.
I just want to throw that one out there.
That's absolutely right. And by the way, their defense is not as good as it has been. It's this, guys. It's as simple as this, and this is what coaching is all about. He doesn't have the players. And
I've got the answer for you guys. And Kevin,
it's a transfer portal. It's Kevin the way he's approaching that.
Listen,
right?
I'm going to tell you guys exactly what the problem is because
the
problem. I'm going to tell you I mean, if you've never listened to me in however many years I've done this, listen to me now because I've seen it. I've seen it with our head coach. Brent Venables talked about Dabo Swinney, how he builds a program, how, hey, if a kid verbal commits to us and then he goes and takes a visit somewhere else, he's no longer a commit to us. You know, we're not going. We don't want people in the transfer portal. If they're leaving their school, we don't want them. Why do we want them in our school? Old school stuff that worked when there wasn't a transfer portal, stuff that worked when kids weren't getting paid, stuff that worked in the old school. Brent Venables had that same approach, and we were garbage on. That was a garbage football team last year. They were garbage at Oklahoma, one of the worst Oklahoma teams ever last year. Why? Because they lost a ton of kids in the transfer portal, and he didn't go out and get other kids to come in like all the other first-year coaches did around him, like TCU, who went to the national championship, right?
Right.
Brent Venables adapted. If you look at the Venables defense this year, they're all new guys from other schools. Why? Because he realized, oh, shit, that isn't going to work. Whether Venables works at OU or not, I will, and I said it before the year started, I will give him credit. He quickly saw, oh, I can't do that shit. We got to go get players.
Right.
Dabo Swinney is not doing that. And
that's right.
If he doesn't adapt, forget about it. It's over. You're not, if that is your attitude, you are not going to survive in what is happening right now in front of you. Yeah. Arkansas State, that was Butch Jones. That's his theory. We're going to build it through the high school ranks. He ain't had a winning season yet. This is year 3. They're not going to have a winning season this year either. You can't do that anymore.
Not anymore.
You can't. And when there's guys out there that can help you, you got to go get them. And you got to go get them with the realization is they may leave you. But you know what? You got to go get them for that year that you can get them.
Yep.
And it's that simple. And I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying if you're going to survive as a head coach, that's what it's about. You cannot not use the resources that are right there in front of you.
Yeah. It used to be when you go out and get those blue chippers, those 5-star guys, you knew you had them for 3 years.
That's just not it.
And it's not it anymore.
No.
If they come in that first year and they're not quite as good as the hype was, and they don't get to play much,
they're out.
They're gone somewhere else.
Yep.
And that's the reality of it all. And Venables has adapted.
Yep.
Dabo probably will adapt. He's stubborn. And he's one of those guys that thinks you need to be there, become a part of the program, buy in and all that stuff, which you do, even if you're only going to be there for a year.
That's not a thing anymore.
No. But you got to at least do what you're told. And it's just it's just a different world, and it's going to be that way every year.
Mm-hmm.
Every year you're going to see new guys, and your roster is going to turn over every year because these kids are not going to sit and develop anymore. They're going to move on where they can play instantly. So your big time programs like Alabama, Georgia, those people are going to have defections. And then you watch these other teams are going to grab those guys and they're going to get better because of it. And that's the thing that's going to happen. And he has not adapted to that. And they just don't have the animals they used to have. They just don't.
And Kevin's talking about just examples. The kid from look at FSU getting a kid from Michigan State. He's a monster, a game changer. The best player on Oklahoma's offense from a receiver standpoint was a transfer this year from Michigan. Oklahoma's entire defensive line were transfers from other schools. The front seven at OU minus 2 linebackers were transfers. Like when you are not great at a position, you've got to use it, and listen, if you're Georgia, if you're the absolute top echelon that's just churning out players year after year, maybe you don't need it quite as much. But the reality is that's just not the case for almost every other program, but say 2 or 3. It's not. I mean, obviously the bigger programs are going to get better kids out of high school for sure. And you're going to keep some and they're going to develop and they're going to be fine. But there's just so many holes that you got to plug, and there's guys out there. You got to get them. I mean, you just have to get them. It's that simple.
You do. And you still do have to recruit the high school kids. You have to
yes, absolutely. Yes.
And you have to hope you get some blue chippers along the way that's going to stick it out with you, and it's going to be as good as you thought they were.
Absolutely. Still, recruiting is still huge, but
yes.
You've got to use it. You've got to come up with the times. And look, I don't know why the quarterback play has been so bad at Clemson with guys who are highly touted. I don't have the answer to that. It could be coaching, could be this, that. I don't know. But
let's keep in mind, he got the number 1 offensive coordinator, according to a lot of people, as the new offensive coordinator at Clemson. He got Lincoln Riley's brother. And that's the worst. You could argue they were worse than they were last year. So, again, you've got to have the players. I think what most programs are trying to do, the base of their program are your high school recruits. And then at the end of the season, you evaluate what left and you go get transfer portal. You go to the transfer portal and get guys that can plug into those positions that you got weak at or you lost depth at. And I think that's what you have to do. And you have to hope they're happy when they get there and they'll do what you want them to do. And
you just have to take that chance. I mean, you do your best to see, okay, what is this kid like? And I get you're going to pass on a few because this kid's just an idiot. I don't want him,
definitely.
But there's a lot of guys out there that's just not the case. Like a Sam Hartman.
A case in point, Aaron, and this was before the transfer portal went into effect. They had a rule: if you graduated, you could transfer and play immediately.
Yeah.
Oklahoma gets Jalen Hurts. Look what happens. So, Jalen came right in, fit right in. He did exactly what he was told because he is an exceptional kid. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, nobody's arguing that.
Yeah, he's just a great kid.
Yeah.
And he fit right in, did exactly what they wanted him to do. And look at him now. So that's what you got to do. You got to hope you can go out and get those guys to fill in spots that you need.
Well, to round back into this, do you think Charleston Southern pulls the upset? I'm just kidding.
No.
I think Clemson gets healthy. But listen, I mean, that's what we just talked about. That's it. And if you're a coach that thinks otherwise, you're done. You're going to get fired. And you might anyway, because as Kevin says, it's the hardest job you could have.
Oh, it's awful.
It's tireless. And it still may not work out, right? I mean, like with Venables, it still may not work out.
No.
But whether it works out or not, I will acknowledge he realized he screwed up year 1.
Yeah, he did. And the thing is, too, I'm going to make a little bet. I bet you Clemson wins 9 games. I've seen them look this bad before, and they come back and win 9 games.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'll have to. I need to see more of them before I can say that. That wasn't good.
They'll struggle this week, I bet you.
I don't think so.
No, I bet you they struggle for a while, and then they pull away in the second half.
We'll see what happens. I don't think they'll struggle this week, but yeah, that's just it. Like Florida State's gotten better. Of course, Notre Dame better, so that they've got tough games to go. So, All right, UNLV, Michigan, another easy game for Michigan. We talked about this. Michigan didn't have a hard game here early. 37-point favorites. Michigan did not cover last week.
No, they didn't.
Do you think they? I mean, they looked solid, just nothing
solid.
special.
But to me, they only scored 30, didn't they?
Yeah, they kind of struggled on offense at times.
Yeah, and East Carolina's a terrible defensive team.
I thought if they didn't cover, it'd be because the defense struggled, but it was the other way around.
No, so I wasn't very impressed with their offense. So we'll see if they get it rolling this week against UNLV.
Do you think part of it could be Harbaugh's not there? They see these first 3 games on the schedule, and they're like, this doesn't matter. We'll just show up. I mean,
yeah, I think sometimes you can't fool kids when they see this non-conference schedule. They're not. Yeah. They're not fully engaged in what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. Yeah. I think they'll play well this week. I don't think you can really judge them on these early games. They just need to win them. You know, it's not like they were in doubt of winning, you know, so there was a lot to like there as well. All right. This is the big one. We talked about this last week. Tulane took care of business pretty handily. They look good against South Alabama. Here's a big test. Ole Miss comes to town. Ole Miss 7.5-point favorites here at Tulane. I was shocked this was at 7.5, Papa Dude. What do you think about this game?
I don't think Tulane's getting much credit myself.
I don't either.
I don't know how good Ole Miss is. It hadn't been too long ago they would be losing games like this.
Yeah,
I'm going Tulane. I think they're going to win it outright. I really do. They've been waiting all summer for this.
Yep.
This is a huge game for them. If they can get by this, you know, the conference they're in is not near as tough as it has been because some of the big names are now in the Big 12. They got a shot at running the table. If they can get by this game, this is going to be a huge one. We'll be on the road, so we won't get to watch it, but I would love to see this one. I'm a Tulane fan. I love the way they play.
Well, listen, I think, you know, the Tulane Cotton Bowl win was a miracle last year.
It was.
But you watch them and you go, yeah, I mean, they didn't look completely overmatched. Even say they lose the game, but they were still competitive in that game. And so you look and you think, well, if they're competitive against USC, they can definitely compete and match up against Mississippi. Maybe they're not good enough to win. Maybe they are, but I think at plus 7.5, you just take Tulane and you feel good about it. And if they don't cover, it's like, well, you know, I was just wrong about them, but I couldn't play it the other way. Mississippi minus 7.5.
No,
I could not do that. So
and look at that ticket price, $98. I wonder when the last time the cheapest ticket you could get at a Tulane game is $98.
That's been a long time. You got to think. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun game. They're going to be ready for that game, like you said. All right, A&M and Miami. First, I don't really know what either one of these programs are. So I'll say a first test for both of these programs this year. Both are 1-0, but games, you know, obviously they were going to win all along. A&M -4 here on the road against Miami. I think A&M's the better team. What do you think?
I think they are, but they have a way of not doing it in big games.
Yeah, and this qualifies as a pretty big early season
game. The winner of this game is going to be, you know, highly thought of.
Yep.
A&M is ranked simply because they're A&M. I have no idea why they're ranked coming off a 5-7 year, and you're in the top 25. I don't quite get that.
Yeah.
But they are because they're always overrated.
Yes.
And Miami is too. Miami's usually ranked, and they're not. I'm going to take a flyer on the home team and pick the Hurricane to upset the Aggies.
All right, I'm gonna take A&M. I think A&M does it. It's more of I just don't think Miami's very good. Miami's starting to slip to me like Nebraska, where it's like you're gonna have to prove to me you're good before I talk about you, bet you, whatever, you know. Even though Nebraska did cover week 1, I guess, but I go A&M in this one. I'm not a believer in the Hurricanes. All right. Washington, they were probably one of the more impressive teams. They absolutely just annihilated Boise State week 1. They get Tulsa here. The line's 34. Washington could kind of have like a game where they don't play quite as well after that and not cover. But overall, let's just talk about Washington. What do you think about this team?
Oh, I thought they looked fantastic.
Yeah.
They slaughtered Boise State. They made them look just average. And maybe they are. I don't know. That was a good win for them. They should slaughter Tulsa. But you hit the nail on the head. They may not be quite ready for them. And 34 points is a lot, so you start going in your head. Okay, 48-14, that's 34 points. That's a pretty good pasting to beat somebody like that. So I'm staying away from this one. I do think they will have no trouble beating Tulsa, but sometimes late in the game you give up a couple of scores and you don't cover.
Yeah. I mean, Dennis says he's going to take Washington minus 34. I mean, that's the side I would go.
It is.
It is.
By the way, you can get a ticket for $5 to that game.
Isn't that incredible?
That's unbelievable.
Number 8 team in the country. Yeah.
$5.
Crazy. Yeah. But listen, Washington is 34 points better for sure.
Oh, I agree.
So we'll just see. All right. Austin Peay and Tennessee. Not much to talk about here. You don't know anything about Tennessee week 1. You won't know week 2 either.
No.
North Carolina, boy, they look sharp. That was a really good opening win there. They pretty much dominated a South Carolina team that I thought South Carolina would beat them, but I still think they're decent. And North Carolina made them look pretty bad. Now they got a tricky game. Appalachian State, North Carolina, 18-point favorites. Where are you going in this one?
Pretty big spread. Could be a little flat coming off that South Carolina. That was a big game for them. I was so impressed with them defensively. They really controlled South Carolina. And as we were texting during the game, again, Spencer Rattler, the South Carolina quarterback, just cannot escape pressure. He doesn't have that ability to do it.
It's been his problem. Yep.
It's been his problem. He just has no, I call it escapability. He's just not elusive. And we saw that the first year he was at OU. If he had time to throw it, he was tough. But you get pressure on him, he couldn't get away. He just couldn't get away. And OU tried to run him a little bit, and he just didn't have any elusiveness. He just couldn't do it. And that's going to be a real huge factor down the line for him in the NFL. It's going to affect him because you got to have a little bit of elusiveness. Anyway, I think this is kind of a game where Appalachian State may play this one a little closer than we think. So if I was going to bet it, I probably would go Appalachian State plus 18, but I'm not confident enough to do that.
I'm going to take Appalachian State plus the 18 as well. I think that makes sense. It's a rivalry game-ish. They're in the same area. I don't think North Carolina views it as a rival, but Appalachian State does. So they're going to
– they do.
They'll come out and play a good game. I think it'll be close-ish, but I do think North Carolina gets it done. But I'll take Appalachian State plus the points. Duke, the Darlings, they play Lafayette, so a little bit of a bye week for them. They'll get to 2-0. Now let's get to the big one, Texas and Alabama. Both teams win. Texas didn't look great. Alabama looked solid, but again, no opponent for either one of these teams. Now we go to Tuscaloosa, 7-point favorite for the Crimson Tide here against Texas. Texas almost beat them last year, Papa Dude. What do you think? This is an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one as well, simply because I don't know the quarterback situation at Alabama. I just don't know. I didn't see any of the game the other night. I have seen him play a little bit last year. The deal is, Texas, talent-wise, especially on offense, they're very good. Their wide receivers are good. Their quarterback's fine. Their running back's fine. They just can't put it all together. And until they do, you just can't get behind them. They might be better than Alabama. I don't know, talent-wise. 7 is a lot of points, but a wise man never bets against Alabama. So I've got to stick with the Crimson Tide until I see otherwise. But I think Texas has got a shot to beat them.
I think Texas has got a good shot to beat them. That being said, I'm taking Alabama. I just think Alabama at home at night, it's going to be a hell of an atmosphere. I think Texas makes a couple of mistakes early in the game, gets behind, fights from behind. Maybe they cover it. Maybe they're there to make a late cover. But I think Alabama wins, and I'll take Alabama minus the 7. I just think they're the better.
Yeah.
They're the better team. I think they're more prepared for this type of game. And then, like you said, until Texas does come out and win one of these, they're hard to back. So
I'll make another prediction. If they win, if Texas wins, they'll probably be number 2 next week.
I was going to say, they'll move them up. I think they're waiting to move them up anyway.
So. Oh, they want them up there so bad.
Yeah, so we'll see. They didn't look good week 1, but everything was pointing towards Alabama.
Oh, no doubt.
So that you can't really take much from that. Oregon, they took care of business in a game they should have. So they're 1-0, and they play Texas Tech, who lost to Wyoming last weekend in double overtime. All right, Oregon's a 6.5-point favorite, and I'll say only a 6.5-point favorite. This seems like a sketchy line. 6.5-point favorite on the road here against Texas Tech. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought coming into the season this was going to be a tough game for Oregon, and then Tech goes up to Wyoming and loses. Sorry, Mark. They shouldn't have, but they did, and Wyoming came back again. They were up 17-0, and the Cowboys came back and dominated them after and ended up beating them in double overtime. I don't know. They dominated them, but they wiped out a 17-point deficit, took it to double overtime and won, which is impressive. So, they're going to come back and play pretty well this week, but they're not good enough, I don't think. I just think they should have won last week if they're going to beat Oregon. Mm-hmm. So Oregon's going to have to go down there and play bad to lose. Turn it over, give them some points. I like the Ducks to cover.
I took Wyoming in the points last week. I'll take Oregon in the points this week. Not a believer in Texas Tech, period. Not a believer. I don't think they're very good. I thought they were shit last year. I don't think they're much better this year, to be honest. Grambling and LSU, don't talk about the game, but boy, LSU, talk about shit. They got their asses handed to them.
They did.
Talk about that.
They got slaughtered.
It was bad.
They just looked like they didn't belong.
Mm-mm.
Even though they were ahead at the half, I still didn't think they were going to win. And then Florida State came out in the second half and just socked them in the mouth. Yep. And they looked great. They really did. I wasn't real high on Florida State to start the season, but I am now. Again, there's a couple of comments came out. Brian Kelly told him the night before he told the team they were going to kick Florida State's ass. Yeah. That was pretty funny. Oops. And I don't know. They just didn't look very good to me. But as we talked about it, I forget. I think it was Sunday on the Daily Show. The more I studied the game, the more I liked Florida State as the week went on. And Florida State's quarterback is pretty good. And their skill people are good. I don't know how to read LSU yet. They'll come back and they'll be better as the season goes along. But their schedule's so hard. When they lose that game, I think they may be knocked out of the national picture already.
Yeah, I mean it's their one loss away from their season pretty much being done as far as that goes. So it was bad. It was a bad situation for LSU. They just got curb stomped. So
they did.
We'll see if they come back. They better get a whole lot better here pretty quick, or they're going to have a horrible year because that was bad. All right, Wisconsin. They were okay. They weren't like crazy, but it was a nice win. They're 1-0. They go on the road. They're 6-point favorites against Washington State. You kind of mentioned on our college football preview show that you thought this could be a tricky game for the Badgers. What do you think?
I think it's very tricky. that's a different animal out there. That's tough place to play when Washington State's decent, and I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think this will be a tough game for the Badgers. They're only 6-point favorites, which tells you Vegas thinks it's going to be tough too. I think they cover. I think it'll be late before they do. And I think we're looking, 28-21, 35-27, something like that. I think it's going to be close.
I do too. And Kevin B brings it up, says the Pac-12 looked great week one. They went 13-0 week one. Now, a lot of those games they should have won, but some of them, maybe not toss-ups, but games was like, yeah, this could be close, and they weren't. They were pretty much dominant. So we'll see what happens. Wisconsin didn't look great. I'll say that. I thought they'd look better week one, but again, you just never know. I mean, once you get that week one out of the way, you sometimes can really improve in week two.
Who was it they played?
Gosh, I cannot remember.
I can't remember either.
It was a team. Let me pull it up here. Buffalo. That's right. I knew it was a MAC team. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to say Central Michigan. I know it's Buffalo. Yeah. So it wasn't bad, but
no, we were expecting more.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Wisconsin's gonna win this one.
I do too.
I'm scared of the points for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State -31. Southern Miss comes to town. Will there be a hangover in Tallahassee, or will Florida State roll in this one as well?
Oh, I think there'll be a hangover. I think it's just normal, but 31, they'll cover that. I think. I think they will.
I think they will as well. I think they might struggle early and then kind of pull away.
Yeah.
It is the home opener. I think that helps. That first game was not at home.
That's true.
So the home opener, I think, will help too. I think Florida State gets it done there pretty easily. Oregon State, nice win. They play UC Davis. No reason to really talk about that one.
Nope.
USC, they start conference play this week against Stanford. Stanford went to Hawaii, and I think people kind of thought Hawaii might beat them. Stanford got it done. Wasn't really in danger of losing the game. USC 2-0, 30-point favorites here for USC. What do you think about this one to cap it off for us?
Well, if it was at Stanford, I'd go the other way. But as far as the points, they're not going to lose this game. I think they cover. This is a game they're not going to screw around with. I think they'll beat them pretty easy.
These are the games. And I mentioned last week, I said they will play a lot better. They'll kind of, quote unquote, shut down Nevada and they'll cover, and they did. To me, I'm not a big believer in the Stanford bunch. I think USC is going to have a lot more athletes. I think they'll cover it. I think they'll kind of dominate this one. And we're just waiting. We're waiting for them to play somebody and see what happens when it comes to that.
Yeah, it'll be a while before they do. That's the thing. And they're going to roll. They're going to roll along. Yeah, you got it pulled up there.
Yeah.
Arizona State's not very good. They go there next week. Now that's 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the desert. That's kind of tricky sometimes. Oh my God! Then they got Colorado. Oh Lord!
See?
I'll tell you what. If Colorado's 3-0 by then, they'll probably be USC number 3 and Colorado number 4 coming into that one. So.
I think the Colorado game. Obviously, you joke, but it has a chance.
It could if Colorado's good. Yes.
Yeah. I think you circle this game right here.
Yeah,
the Notre Dame game is the one where you're going to find out what they are.
Yeah. What a game that'll be if they're both undefeated going into that. It'll be. Yep. That'll be something else. So.
Yep. That's going to be fun. I hope. Let me look at Colorado real quick here.
Yeah, let's see who's going to beat them if they get by this week.
Well, they go to Oregon week 4. They're not winning that. But if Colorado's 3-1, meaning they beat Nebraska, they beat Colorado State, they lose to Oregon, 3-1 versus an undefeated USC. I mean, that will be a madhouse of a game. That'll be nuts.
Yeah, ticket prices may be $300 for that.
Maybe for that one for sure.
I've been to a Colorado game. OU played out there a few years ago.
Yeah,
and we were out there, and it was an 11 o'clock game, and there might have been 15,000 people in the stands at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I see it to believe it. Of course, he's got it going. And that's exactly what they hoped would happen.
Yeah.
When they hired him.
It's one game.
A brilliant hire.
I think Colorado's 3-0 going into Oregon, and I think they're going to get waxed. That's my thought.
I think so too.
And I don't think they can, although they might be able to score a lot on USC, but USC is going to score a lot on them.
They can't stop them.
Arizona State, they can beat Stanford. They could beat UCLA. They could beat them. Oregon State.
Yeah. Now
by that time, you never know. But
we're going down.
You look at this. They could go 8.
What a difference one game makes.
Well, I mean, you look at it though; they could go 8-4, 7-5.
Yeah, but when I was doing the over-unders, whatever we do, and I was going down through their schedule, I was generous and gave them 3. And now we're going down there after one game. We're going, oh yeah, they could beat them. Well, they might beat them.
Let's say they ended up losing. You would still think they could beat Nebraska. They could beat Colorado State.
Yeah, maybe
Stanford, Arizona. I mean, yeah,
I think I had them beating Colorado State, Stanford, and Arizona because all 3 of those games were at home.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be that good to win.
No, and that was the only 3 I had.
He says win total 3.5.
Yeah. And after one game, now we got them at 8-4, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I would say 7-5 is realistic.
So that would be fantastic if they could do that.
Oh, well, 7-5 would be fantastic. Exactly. I think realistically, that's what you should expect. Honestly, they could go 8-4. I think 7-5 is what they're going to go.
I see 7-5. That'll probably get them in the top 15. Don't you think?
Probably. All right, that's it for the top 25. Is there anything else you got? Any other games?
No. Oh, any other? I didn't really find much this week. I don't have anything I really like.
Okay.
All right. There's a lot of doggy games this week. There really are.
More than last week, even.
Yeah. I didn't see anything that popped out at me. Central Florida goes to Boise, and they're favored by 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look for Boise to come back and play better this week. So that was one that kind of Cincinnati goes to Pittsburgh, and Pitt's a 7.5-point favorite. I'm not ready to just say Cincinnati's awful.
Yeah.
Not yet. So that's a couple I had circled. Oh, the game tomorrow night, Kansas and Illinois is a good one, I think.
That is an interesting game. What do you think about that game?
Yeah. KU's 3-point favorite. Probably legit. Should win. But Illinois is very well coached. Oh, and the other one, did you realize Iowa dropped out of the top 25?
No.
Yeah. So what's the line on the Iowa State game this week?
Oh, that's a good question.
So you win a game and you drop out of the top 25 because Duke and Colorado won.
I think it's 5, maybe. Let's see. 3.5. Iowa's a 3.5-point favorite.
On the road.
Yeah.
Iowa State was pretty impressive against Northern Iowa. I think they won by 21.
They played better, and Iowa did not play. They did their normal.
They were their normal stuff.
Yeah.
I'm taking Iowa. They'll win. But
I think
they win their game, and because Duke won and Colorado won, they knock out Iowa, who won their game. I don't know who votes for these guys are clowns.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's crazy. By the way, yeah, the offensive coordinator there, Ferentz's son, they have to average 25.
I saw that
game, or he's fired.
Yeah, and 25 a game,
and you got 24 against Utah State.
There was some more. There were other requirements as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was so many yards a game, maybe something like that.
Yeah, there was other stuff. The 25 points is what stood out. That's
what stood out to me.
Yeah.
And they scored 24 the other day. 25, that's quite a few for Iowa.
For Iowa, that's a lot. Yeah.
I guess they were going to fire him, and that was what they told his father that had to happen for him to stay. I guess. Why else? His dad wouldn't come up with that
No.
stipulation, I wouldn't think.
No.
But, yeah.
Well, hopefully he enjoys his last year at Iowa.
Well, because there's going to be some 10s and 12s in there.
Zeros, maybe.
So one of these games, flip their schedule up real quick. Then we'll get out of here.
Okay, yeah. Let me flip up Iowa. Let's see.
See who they might score 35 on. Let's see.
So I don't think they'll score. So they have Iowa State, which that's usually a very low scoring game.
Yeah.
Western Michigan.
They might.
Maybe.
Okay. The next one's your first 10.
At Penn State. That's not happening.
About a 10. Michigan State, they might score 21, 25, something like that.
They could also score 7. Like that's
good.
Purdue is not very good.
No, they might get some there.
Yeah. At Wisconsin, and that ain't happening.
Minnesota's got a good defense.
To me, that Minnesota game has 7-3 written all over it. You don't know who's going to win, but you know the final score.
Hey, these 3 games right here, Minnesota, Northwestern, and Rutgers.
Yeah.
There's their 3. They've got to score.
I mean, he's going to have to get 50 on Northwestern and 50 on Rutgers, or he's in big trouble. Because Illinois, they're not going to score a bunch on them.
No.
And the Nebraska game's always,
That's a tough game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, they could go 8-4 with that schedule, which is what Iowa does.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're capable of. Sometimes they can go 9-3. 8-4, 9-3, and say they average 24 a game, and you're going to fire him? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they have unrealistic expectations in Iowa.
Well, I just mean, you needed 50 that opening game. You really did. Because, they might get 20 at Iowa State, and they could get a few at against Western Michigan. Some of these teams, it's like a lock. They're going to get 10.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I just don't. I get the impression, just the sense that these Iowa people would love if their head coach resigned.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And how can they say that?
Yeah, exactly.
The guy, it's incredible what they do up there.
Yeah. But
they have no recruiting base.
No.
I mean, they're recruiting. Where Chicago? Where do they go? And they get these guys, and they win 7, 8, 9 games every year. And they never have skilled people that are real good.
Nope.
But they play great special teams. They play great defense. They run the clock. They do what they're supposed to do to stay in the games. And at the end of the season, there they are with 8 wins. And they want more. And they're gonna get their wish one of these days because Ferenc is getting pretty old.
Yeah. It won't be long.
So anyway, such is the life of coaching.
Exactly. That's exactly right. All right. Well, we got to get out of here. I got to get ready for another show. Yep. So 35 minutes away from Blinkers Off. That's going to come at you at 2 p.m. Central Time. We're going to talk Breeders' Cup Classic early look. We're going to rapid fire some races. I'm sure we'll talk about other stuff as well. So a lot coming on here. I got to get off here and start preparing for that one. Like I said, just 35 minutes away. All right, guys. Thanks already for joining Dudes Who Bet Sports. We will be back next week. I hope everybody has a very good weekend and hope that you guys cash a lot. Opening weekend NFL and week 2 college football.
This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Haldeman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.